Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to Humankind here in Amabel Goes to Forex School, where today the war is well and truly on. I suspect this is really going to determine the whole situation for Black, right? They recognize that they're in a deficit position. They don't feel like they can wait anymore. They're pushing, even though technologically they're not really up to the task. They have the numbers, and they're hoping that that's going to do it. It's worth noting also that we took a bombardment from their group of bombards down here. They have some siege artillery that they've built up. They also have another unit. I was having a look around here in the time between episodes. They have another unit of siege artillery in a transport ship down here, and I think we're going to make sure this one gets destroyed. Because it's in a transport ship, it's especially vulnerable. So here's what I'm thinking for this turn. We can hit their siege units pretty hard with a proper bombing. But if you look at this, if we drop the bombs over here with this single bomber that's nearby, we could expect to wipe out both the siege unit in the ocean and this little one horse unit and do some significant damage around it. I think this is a good sort of like let's go fuck things up move with this bomber. Okay, it had that effect. It looks like 2 units lost. All right. Now, we have bombers further north. I think what I'm going to do here is transfer this bomber. This bomber can't reach most of the important targets down south, and they're defending a lot of their sort of like incidental targets over here with fighters. So it's going to be a lot harder to just like bomb harass in this area. So we're actually going to just fly the ship or fly this bomber from that aerodrome over to this aerodrome so they can participate more readily. Then the other 3 who can still act. Nope, not you. There we go. The other 3 here who still haven't taken an action yet, I'm going to send out to just really fuck up this regiment. They're gonna take out our artisans quarter, but we can rebuild that trivially. And it's not that important of a resource right this second anyway. And yeah, they'll cut this thing down by like 40%. So hopefully that will discourage them pushing in a little bit. They're healing inside of they have the thing that lets you heal when unsupplied. The culture, the warrior, not the culture, the wonder. You know, that one we didn't build. I can just rebuild the artisans quarter instantly, and it only costs 263 gold to do so. So I'm gonna do it.
That's all right.
That's a little bit of a silly, just like that's how the game mechanics work, kind of thing. Then we're allowed to take a second shot with each of these. I wasn't 100% sure if we'd be able to because I shouldn't have rebuilt the Artisan's Quarter yet because I think we're going to bomb it again. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we'd be allowed to because it's not technically the bombard button, but we're allowed to airstrike a second time because of our, I think because of our Pentagon. So wait, yeah, here. Right, airstrike here? Yeah. Okay, they're going. And this one is refueling. This is the one that moved.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have devastated that army.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't look like it's a great idea to move in on them because they will, obviously get the defenses of the city behind them, and we don't want to walk into bombard territory. But yeah, that's done some good work. So now in the rest of our cities, let's figure some stuff out here. A nuclear plant would be good and powerful, but I fear we may not have time. It might be a good idea to build up some defensive fighters ourselves, or maybe it's better to focus on just like stealth corvettes, which are functional anti-aircraft units in the first place, and also will let us control the ocean quite effectively. They take a lot more industry to build, I'll say that. But yeah, you know what? Let's make one of those. Over here in Chang'an, we are probably just going to want to do the big industry boost. And down in Aachen, same thing. Now, moving to nuclear power is a little bit cleaner than the coal and everything that we're burning before. So not only is this increasing our industry, but it is decreasing our population output. Notice we are currently producing some amount of population here. Queen Tamiris is actually pumping out the most somehow. 103 pollution per turn, despite having a relatively small empire. The next worldwide pollution level will occur at 25,000 total pollution, which would take over 100 turns at this rate. We're pushing our rate down, but I fully expect the AI to push their rates up. So we'll see what happens with that. Your scientists have combed the deepest depths of reality and in their quest for knowledge have discovered weapons of terrifying power. As a society, you must now be clear about how they will be deployed. Yes, I do think that's a good idea. So we can pursue nuclear proliferation and get access to the fission test, which unlocks constructible nuclear missiles on the Empire and gives us fame, and also, allows us to nuke people eventually. Or we can pursue nuclear disarmament. The existence of weapons of mass destruction will always diminish humanity down to a sort of glowing vapor. This would give us a 10% bonus on our future fame gains, and a 20%, a negative 20 on our war support equilibrium value. So, our war support tends to sit at 50. This would be like, well, we're a peace-loving society. And we gain a grievance against empires that are doing nuclear stuff. It is also worth noting that if we pursue nuclear proliferation, we are pulling food out of our cities by adjusting this geopolitical axis. I don't want to use the nukes. I don't think we'll need the nukes. And I do think bonus on future fame gains is generally a good thing.
Okay.
That's where my head's at.
You have to wonder if the ability to commit mass suicide is really in our long-term interests.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder that about a lot of things, though. And many things are just that with more steps. All right, so this army's probably going to turn around. I did want to grab our other nearby army and start marching it southward, because we may well need it. Oh, and this army's all out of date. So we have a bunch of 42 strength arquebuses and 44 strength Sapa Inca guards who could be upgraded all to rifles for the low cost of all of my money. Well, I think I'd rather push this up to a battleship first.
Okay.
Especially since I don't expect them to advance with this regiment any further. But I guess we're gonna find out what they feel like doing. How froggy they feel like getting. And then we also will repurchase our artisan's quarter now after the bombing has stopped. They do have a lot of units. This is always the thing, right? They always have a ton of units. But I think they're going to have a very, very hard time on approach. Yep, they're backing up. They are performing artillery strikes on our stuff, and we are going to we're going to have some words to say about that for sure. So, I would love to kill this regiment.
Yeah.
We can do so in a way that damages the city pretty badly. Yeah.
Or
I'm gonna drop it directly on them just to make sure it gets done in one, so that we can refocus this crew for the next strike. Okay, it did indeed get done in one. Now they have some defensive planes over here. We have to be a little careful where we put ourselves, but it does look like we can. What is in this stack? There's an ironclad there. So it does look like we could do an awful lot of damage to their navy if we're willing to take some damage ourselves. We could weaken their army. We don't quite have the range from there to hit the siege cannons, but we can hit the space next to them and do quite a lot of damage. We'll do a little bit of damage, and I guess that's what I'm thinking. I think their plan was based on the idea that they would get to just like sort of pick at us from a distance if we tried to counter push. I don't think it doesn't feel to me like they were taking the existence of the bombers into account. So you can see one bomber bombing the space that the siege cannons are in directly is doing the same amount of damage as 4 bombers with the near strike. And of course we're going to get to double up on that. That thing will not survive the next turn if it doesn't run away. So I'm curious to see what they do about it. Now that's interesting.
why is that? Oh, just because you'll attack it again.
Yeah. It doesn't have enough health to survive another... Even with the amount of healing it will get over the turn, it doesn't have enough health to survive the bombardment. So they have an ironclad. This is 219 versus 365. Well, sorry, I'm making this upgrade. So that becomes a battleship. And then we're still really overmatched here. It's not clear to me where all their combat strength is coming from. I guess maybe the boats get to, or maybe the planes get to participate because it's a battle taking place inside their area.
Okay.
Their patrol area. Or 365, you know what? I guess it's... A lot of it is the Waka Tower. A lot of it is the actual naval transports, which have combat strength, but at 37, like they're so low, they're so far below us that they definitely won't get to do stuff in combat. I think we can probably attack that safely, actually. I'm a little nervous, obviously, because it would be a very embarrassing failure if we went for that and it didn't work. But yeah, we probably can. Do I want to build? We should. So let's build a nuclear plant. Man, it takes forever. Here's what I'm thinking. We want to build an aerodrome in Mykenay and build planes there for the purpose of shuttling them forward. In theory, over an infinite amount of time, we produce the most planes by pursuing all of the industry improvements first, and then building planes at the highest rate of planes per turn, right? The thing is, we don't have infinite. We don't have infinite time, and I'm not really sure. Like 11 turns for 42 industry boost, which is less than 10%. I'm wondering if it's actually worth it here, or if we should just get to production. If I should just make the aerodrome and get to it. And I'm kind of thinking that it is make the aerodrome and get to it. Honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but you think that about everything. You're always take the short one.
Something you tend to do in these games is like, well, if I do this for 26 turns, then this will be more efficient. And by that time, we don't need the thing. Because we've had our asses kicked.
Hold on. Where were we getting our asses kicked?
Well, not yet, but I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna encourage you to go for it more often than not.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be wrong some of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of the time. There will be times when I'm right.
There will be times when you're right.
Hasn't happened yet, but who knows?
It feels like I'm due. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We might want to like sort of have the knights fall back and construct a unit mostly out of we can put together an 8-unit army of actual modern shooting troops from these two armies and have the elephants are part of that. The elephants have a higher combat strength than our rifle troops do. And then move that forward while we wait for the money and the technology to upgrade the other units.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
At least this is the hope. Did I move? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I did not move into range, but I didn't. Me not moving into range was an accident. I should have counted, and I didn't. Dangerous times, Amabel. You gotta be doing the math.
Yeah.
All right. Mama Aklo keeps reducing our war support against her, like that's a concern. So we have enough money to upgrade 1 unit. And then this army has 3 modern units. And this army only has 2. So actually. All right, well let me swap out 3. Okay. That's as modern as we get. So we have 3 55 strength rifles, 2 58 strength Gatling elephants. And then back here, mostly Teutonic Knights that will eventually become tank operators. Now, I'm assuming Quabaleo is going to have a lot of defenses, potentially. We're probably not ready to actually make that move yet. I do notice that they did not move the siege cannons. So let's take our... nope, not that. Let's take our existing plane here. I think 2 shots from the single plane plus 1 of the bombards from the larger group should do the job. We'll see if that math holds. Right, because they should be quite low after that. Yeah. So we hit this here. Cool. War support is all over the place. Right, we're getting a lot of war support from bombing them. They are losing a lot of war support from being bombed. Obviously, pretty hard thing to get your population to be like, okay, everybody, just fucking hold tight. Yeah, I understand. They're totally rocking our shit, but just wait for a while. So if we try to if we send the other bomber, the big bomber squadron, directly against these ships, we'll get them in one, but we'll also take damage from the fighters. If we go right here, we don't take any damage from the fighters, and we still deal a bunch of damage to the ships. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We found the exact edge of their defense patrol, I guess. Should be pretty decent damage. Yeah. Mostly it's the ground troops that got it, but that's actually probably better. And I think... So we could move up and see about beginning a siege. The thing is, I don't actually know, when we mouse over this district here, we see them with a 701 city strength. I don't know if that's their actual city defense units, or if there's another regiment in here somewhere. It's probably including these ships, which we should probably deal with. So I think I'm going to wait one more turn before we actually march up.
Okay.
For that reason. We actually only had half movement left anyway, because that was the turn that we were merging everybody. Alright, let's get an industry bonus that turns into a food bonus. The Revenge of the Pharaohs 3. Those who wailed about the centuries-delayed vengeance of a dead man now hide their faces in shame. Testing reveals that the mummy was indeed the cause of the tragedies that befell those associated with it, because it was coated in ancient bacteria, grown upon long since decayed food interred alongside it. We now know that this affects both the wits and the guts, but fortunately we can also treat it easily. You need fear the Pharaoh's curse no longer, and need nor anyone else. There is much rejoicing and hilarity, celebrating on 8 cities. This is kind of a bump. Like, this is not a very good reward for going through all that.
Yeah.
They need to work on the rewards at the end of these chains, because it's just not, like, especially like by this point in the game, you probably are in a position where you are able to keep your cities pretty steady by yourself.
You need to figure out how. Yeah, like rewards are an important part of incentive structure. You know.
So they sailed their ground troops just like right over here. I'm not sure why. Clearly they don't think we'll attack them. I mean, I attacked them.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a second. 800. Okay, this reveals to us a naval regiment that was nearby. But it also falls back. Yeah, it has them fall back and stuff. Okay. The stealth corvette's just complaining because there was a brief moment there where it was where that dock was inside of a zone of control of a battle. All right. Hi. They're attacking. Wait, what are they? What is the actual thing being attacked here? A group of partisans. But they have a single unit with this army as backup attacking this unit. How does this affect the bombers, I guess, is an interesting question. I'm assuming, like, it seems like instant resolution should crush them. And on our side, it'll kill a single Sampa Inca guard. I think I'll just take that.
Yeah.
Bizarre. That was a weird way of engaging in that battle. I don't really understand their movement there. I guess like part of the idea is it locks some of our stuff in place because it participated in the battle. maybe.
Let me, let me hit you with something that just
All right.
reminded me of while you're doing your
We
bombing.
don't want to do the bombings on these troops that are inside our territory because we take too much damage to our own stuff.
So, in some of the kind of strategic or operational scale military games, board games, you often have cards that mandate a certain number of offensives that turn to reflect like political pressure.
Uh,
Um, and in that case, you'll end up making like stupid attacks like that because you need to do something or else you'll get fired.
okay.
And do you feel like something like that is something that you would enjoy in a game like this if you're in a war situation where like you have to do so many battles on a turn, or you'll
No.
no, okay.
Yeah, put that real simply. Okay, so they moved those ships away. Yeah, obviously, like a massive bombing campaign inside of our own territory is a little not ideal. It seems like your bombs are hyper effective against your own stuff, which it makes a certain amount of like emotional sense, I guess. We can't see where those other units ran off to. Oh no, they ran off to right here. Well, they're definitely outside of bombardment range. Not for you, they're not. Are they outside of fighter range? They're not. The fighters have a big patrol distance. Okay, well, let's go drop some bombs down here to fuck up their regiments again. We need a little bit more time. Ain't that always the way with me? Alright, and continuing to bomb here gets us damage on the ships without damage on ourselves. We're going to bomb that space for the same reason. Which is as soon as... Oh, I guess you have to bomb this space instead. So that district is no longer a district. Alright, we're just harassing their nearby ships, basically. Alright, and... next turn we will have the ability to upgrade to tanks, but we're still pretty short cash-wise. It's a little unfortunate. That said, we can absolutely run these guys down. And I'm going to do that with our land unit just as soon as I can here. Nope, stop putting garbage on the screen. Ah, no. Okay, so it made that really awkward. Like, it's very difficult with this game in particular. Like, it puts up a bunch of noise, and then it's like, how do I do the things I wanted to do? And I definitely was not trying to attack with a single unit. So it thinks they'll take effectively no damage, which I don't really understand. Huh. So we'll be able to airstrike into the battle, which is interesting. How on earth do I lose this? They would think this regiment won't. I just wouldn't use them. Okay, I mean manual. Yeah, manual. We'll handle it.
I want to see the elephants anyway, so.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird one. Unless there's something going on here where like this army's not going to be able to join in. I don't understand. So these guys can perform bombardment into the right, okay. Let's deploy and then we'll figure it out. So I didn't want these guys to all deploy like that, and we'll pull them all way the fuck back. This army was not supposed to deploy. I still am a little unclear, like, when you're, like, I didn't have auto select and auto deploy turned on because I didn't want to pull those units. And obviously, these ones should show up to the battle.
Yeah.
They're welcome. They're going to do good work in the battle. It's very strange. So they'll probably start, if I do this, they'll start up here. I mean, I would love to maintain the survival of some of these units. Yep, they're going to start up here. But then we get to go first. No, wait, they're the attackers. Despite the fact that it was my unit that I moved in and okay. It's very unclear what happens at the beginning of battles sometimes because, you know, you have units moving around quickly. Is a huge downside of simultaneous turn structures.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just let their turn play out, and then we will get to actually explore our options here. But yeah, they're going to, for reasons that don't make any sense, the army that was furthest from the battle is forced to participate in the battle, is forced to put their units on the field at the beginning of the battle, thus allowing the enemy to kill a bunch of them before they can be upgraded into better units.
Blueprints.
Blueprints indeed. At the very least, they need tooltips that's like when you mouse over the regiment on the reinforcement screen, it's like, this is why these guys will be forced into the battle, even though that doesn't make sense. So the good news is they are kind of splitting their forces in a really strange way. Like, I don't know where they're going.
They're taking a long time on their turn.
Yeah, well, they have a bunch of units. Because it's including those ships and stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm pretty sure, let's just double check. The combat strength differences are such that, actually, you know what? Charges from the cavalry are not useless. Like, as long as we're doing, like, it is very funny that in this attack, it has me charge through from the low ground instead of the high ground. I think it's assuming I want to, what's happening here is I want to inhabit the city tile, but that's definitely not the right way to do that. We should take over, yeah, let me take over some ground, because I do want to fill that city tile. It's just I don't want to do it with the horse. So yeah, at this point, this charge actually makes some decent sense. These units are hopelessly out of date, but it turns out not as hopelessly as I thought. Perhaps not hopelessly at all. All right, we should be able to get a really easy flatten on these guys. Turns out you should bring ranged weapons to a fight against people who have guns. Hot take. Okay, and then they have some partisans here. We suppress when we fire. Trying to figure out, like, we probably want to move over here. We probably want to knock out the impies. So it should be pretty easy to do so. Although, wow, you get +8 combat strength when fighting with things that have a higher combat strength. That unstoppable bonus is higher than I thought it was going to be. It's a fairly impressive unit overall, the Impy.
Yeah.
Is this a stealth unit? It is a stealth unit. I was gonna say we should have been able to see that guy from there, I would think. But okay, stealth unit got me.
Makes sense for a partisan.
I'm trying to like figure out the path that leads to the best number of flanks, you know, for our horse charges. So I think what we're going to end up doing here is... Let's go... Wait, this unit can't attack... Oh, right, this unit's not upgraded. This unit's an arquebus. Okay.
Well,
Gatling elephants doing Gatling elephant work. Pretty fantastic. Okay, and then we have a couple of high star horse charges left, and I want to make sure we're getting the benefit of them in places where they're, you know, beneficial. So we can gut those guys pretty badly. I don't think the impies are actually going to do all that much more damage to us. And we can minimize it to some degree by planting someone here and doing a couple of flank charges. Just install horses on both sides of them and then have them come in at the same time and just pancake the enemy unit.
you know, it was pretty good.
Another one of those situations where I just like, I don't understand how the auto-resolver thought the thing that it claims that it thought. What was pretty good, sweetie?
You made me pancakes the other day. That was pretty good. All of a sudden, you just gave me pancakes.
It's true. Out of nowhere. They were
sweetheart.
surprise pancakes.
You're a sweetheart. I love surprise pancakes.
Now, I guess I'm putting myself in danger here because like they do have cogs. But we have support units in theory, right? Like, can I call for a bombardment?
You sure can.
Here's the thing about bombs. Can you finish them off? It doesn't look like you're guaranteed to finish them off. These ones will... Oh, no, okay, because I was misreading things a little bit. I still want to use the... Let's use the full bomber squad to... Oh, interesting. Brown declared war on black in the middle of this battle. Apparently we were encouraging. All right, let's not use bombs like inside our own territory, but off the side of the... To discourage naval participation. I think that went pretty well, actually. They still, in theory, have a very large number of partisans somewhere. Like they have a lot of stealth units yet, still have unrevealed stealth units. I guess I'm gonna have you fall. I don't even know. Just stand over here and watch. Like, try to provide zonal control so people can't just run up behind us onto the high ground. I guess. So do partisans are full-fledged yeah, they are move and shoot units. So I guess that's the answer as to how they get to do that much damage to us in the auto-resolver is they had a full-sized hidden army of gunners inside their territory. Wow, that's a rough charge. The good news is if they have a big chunk of guns together inside their territory, we're gonna get to use our bombers again. We have the one single bomber has not done either of its bombards for the turn. So we have to decide how we want to engage with that then. Are we... we can just knock you over real fast. Are we going to try to move to them and reveal them, or are we going to try to back up and make them come out to us? I think the answer is we probably want to advance to them because I want the bombing to happen inside their territory, right?
Right.
So, okay, let's throw some Sapa Inca guards at this. Okay, we still got to deal with these partisans, but I don't think that's going to be that difficult at this point. I think... do we want to use the elephants on this, or do we want... I guess I don't necessarily want the elephants to push forward. We might want to push forward with like the really badly damaged knights and just sacrifice them for vision. Sounds a little callous, but...
Yeah.
Do you guys require direct line of sight? You, as far as we can tell, yes. It's all right. I'll have them open up here from these back positions, and then we can have like the injured gunner. Come on, buddy. There you go. Sometimes it takes a second for the animations. Not sure why. All right, we can very easily charge this guy down. I don't want to just like throw units away, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, even if they're out of date right now, they won't be eventually. Although who knows, when we're going to be able to afford to upgrade all of them. Oh, you can't quite make it to the space that I need you to make it to. I want to hold on to the one with the 2 veterancy stars as best I can. And everybody else is exactly far enough back that they can't make it to the... God damn it. Actually, no, he can't either. Can you? You can. Okay. Let me go grab my support bombers. Am I allowed to target this space? Okay. My suspicion is... Boy, I would directly kill those partisans if I dropped the bombs on them. I mean, that tells us good things about the other partisans, right? The ones that we haven't revealed yet. Oh, you have to select a... You can't just bomb a tile, though. That's a little silly. So if we go for this, we're trading way, way bad. It really sucks that I have to drop bombs on my own guys. Like, I should be allowed to drop a bomb. It's like conduct a bombing campaign here, right? Yeah. But I can't tell them to do that. I can tell them to do this and kill my own Teutonic Knights. I'm going to. This sucks, but I think it's worth it to get the clearance on the unit plus whatever else.
Or horsey.
Yeah, that sucks though. That's really shitty. All right, you fill in this gap over here. You guys get closer. I don't know what we're gonna do necessarily. And you can stand on the flag, which we haven't bothered to secure in any way. Okay, so they're like way back there. Okay, there's some of them over here. Well, the bomb's going to be pretty good. What I'd really love is for one of them to stop here.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. So, we have one more support bombing. Let's run you back. hopefully that did some good damage to those guys as well. So at this point, they have 4 units of partisans left. And we know, and we can see one of them. These horses should be pretty easy to knock out. Obviously, Gatling guns continue to be Gatling guns. I don't want to move the elephants too far forward. My arquebus is dead. Like, putting a unit here is risky, but it'll give us some visibility that I like a lot.
This is the last round, right?
Well, for this turn, but there'll be more. Yeah, I'm going to do something really aggressive here. Okay. And then that should give us the flank that we need to make this attack really ugly for them. Although not entirely lethal. The horse can't attack into the walls anyway, so we may as well just use the horse to finish that. And then speaking of horses finishing stuff off, yeah, you may as well do that. Okay, and now all we have left to do is pick off 3 partisans and a unit of line infantry that lives somewhere. Okay, so this is one of the partisans and the line infantry. Well, you can move to a position where you can fire into the wall. We're going to be getting a lot worse damage here, obviously, as we are firing at units that have fortification. But do you have enough movement? No, nobody can do. Right, you have to start your move next to the wall to move in. So we're gonna have to get some people up here. Okay, I mean that's pretty good damage overall. The question is, do I want to move you up adjacent to the wall? I'd love to hold on to my position here. I'd love to hold on to my high ground. So we'll move adjacent to the wall here instead. I think they're going to actually lose their city when we win this battle. Because they...
Yeah?
Yeah, because they included the city itself in the battlefield. Like when we finish this, I believe so. I don't see any reason to move the remaining horses forward, so one thing you can do by moving the remaining horses forward, like just like a horse to here even, is just provide a little bit of morale bonus. You know, little bit of adjacent friendlies combat strength. All right, so next turn, that will continue. As disastrous for them. Really huge loss. That's gonna turn out bad in a really long-term way.
And then Brown is at war with them.
Why do you come here to waste my time?
So she's bleeding war support badly. We're rapidly approaching 100 war support.
We greet you, as always, with a smile.
And we can't actually see how the war's going from a brown perspective. Like, we can't see the... Oh, this was black before, wasn't it? This little island zone?
Might have been.
I think it was. And there's a lot of plains and stuff that are browns. Brown also has forward air bases. They're making moves. All right, I have high hopes here. They have also landed an army, and Brown has an army in position to counter. Wild.
Good job, Brown.
I appreciate that. I'm also, of course, going to bring my own troops over. Yeah, because If we engage them right here, we'll get to use our ships. And these ships will do horrifying amounts of damage to these ground units. They're mostly just rocking like line infantry and stuff, so we're out of date, this army, a little bit. And I do expect it to be troublesome. But we have an elephant, and then we have the bombardments. So fingers crossed on that.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing we want to do, the thing we want to be prepared to do, button mash right at the beginning of the turn here, is attack these guys before they can move anywhere. Okay, and they are forced to retreat. Inland? I attacked them from here, and they were allowed to retreat through my units, basically. To a position where they're a little bit more defended from the boats. Not really how that should work, in my opinion. Okay, we finished building our aerodrome here. I'm gonna try to put together some fighters. Well, you know what? We're building fighters also. You build a bomber. Build a bomber.
What does this war do for either of us? Very well, friend. I will take this seriously.
Okay. What? Oh, wow, this is a. I'm getting distracted by the grievances. They want a white peace proposal. I do know.
You must be out of your mind.
Talk to me again after this battle concludes, but be prepared to hand me back some of my things. Okay, and we're pushing hard on this aesthete star. Where are we at on? Okay, we're complete on militarist at this point. We've done it all, approaching 20k fame. So, yep. Turns out that action continues to reveal 0 of my units. And they have put all the way forward all 3 of their units.
That's a choice.
It is a choice. And a choice they're legally allowed to make. I'm going to call in a little bit of fire support here. We're going to step the horse away from the wall. Call in a little bit of fire support here. If I move this elephant up to here, we have a nice high ground peek over the wall. Brat-a-tat-a-tat. Very disappointing damage. I need y'all to step it up. Can the elephant? Yeah, oh, the elephant can see them from here. And still can't get the job. Can somebody please? Okay. That is a big, big failure for them. It did not hand me the city, but the city is in dire shape right now, and we are going to go get it. Sorry, next turn, I'm going to go get it. We're going to also have a look at... So it'd be 7,400 for each knight we want to upgrade to a medium tank, taking their base combat strength from 38 to 64. That's how long it's been since we have had a new cavalry unit. Okay, and that did not utilize the 4 bombers that we have in this base at all. So they have a whole lot of ships over here. We wouldn't really do all that much damage to them. And also, of course, there is the concern of the defensive planes. Out of curiosity, do I have vision? I can't reach these guys. I wouldn't want to bomb them anyway. It would destroy Big Ben. We shouldn't drop bombs adjacent to Big Ben. That's probably a thing that's true, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what do I want to do with these bombers then? Maybe just rebase them? So we can rebase them up to here, but I don't really know what we accomplished by doing so. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me to back them up or to move them forward. We're not expecting there to be a lot of new defenders at Quabuleo. Having them in position to attack Harappa is probably the sensible thing, and so I think maybe they just don't do any bombing this turn. Although, out of curiosity, if I do this, I don't like the way it represents the damage on there as it's 50% of the way through the bar and it doesn't show me, is that 2 planes lost? Or is that all the planes go to 50%? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it. Unless we could bomb an airport and reduce the planes. I don't think it would be worth it. And we don't have vision of the aerodromes down here. So, okay, I think we'll just let that sit for a moment. By the way, I noticed something before we started recording. So I went and grabbed tank because horse should be tank. Then I realized there's a line coming out of uranium enrichment. A line coming out of nuclear fission, which we went and got, that goes all the way to here.
Okay.
It turns out that's the only prerequisite for the fusion reactor, which is an endgame technology that gives you 390 fame for being a global messiah when you invent a fusion reactor. And then also, as far as I can tell, this is an effect that will just happen to all of our cities, plus 50% industry, minus 50% pollution.
That's pretty good.
Because the cleanest clean power. And it seems wild that there's not more stuff. It's remarkably fast to research that from the line here. It feels like, especially for it being placed so far to the right. Yeah. But so that's what we're working on right now is fusion reactors. While we do our bombings and whatnot.
Now, in order to trigger a game, and you need to research all the end game technologies.
There are a variety of things. Not all the end game, but there are certain. Yeah, there's a set of technologies that you research, or other things. We're getting there. So I think right now I want to make sure we catch this army, and I want to try to attack them from an angle that makes sense. Okay, brown is going to attack them for us. So we're allied.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how it is that my units would show up to this battle. Order your army to join the battle. Oh, under my allies' command is a little scary. I don't super trust. Yeah. Here. Full control over your units. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, the battle resolved. I was willing to give them my ships, because there's no way they were going to lose the ships. But you have to, with our units being slightly less powerful than the enemy units, I'm definitely reluctant to throw them under the control of the AI, because the AI is not always the smartest at fights. Okay. So, let's, reinforce with only our finest knights, some of whom will become tanks in the very soon. And sadly, we can't make it to the border this turn, or we can't make it to the actual city. We're one tile short. Oh wait. No, we can get adjacent. So what are we looking at in terms of... They have 53 strength conscript home guard units, as well as a single partisan. And meanwhile, we have bombers. Competent units and also the bombers. I think we just win this, right? I'm gonna hit assault. We could try to starve them out, but it takes forever.
Yeah, just go for it. You'll have to
instant resolution's gonna kill us, yeah. And
I wonder.
think this is approximately the stance that we're taking.
I wonder if it's just numbers or if the AI assumes you'll play like they do.
It is just numbers. I think that was partially a joke, but also I can tell you for sure that the answer to that is it is just numbers.
What is this thing you do where I do a joke and you take it seriously?
I know it's annoying, right?
It must be really obnoxious.
So I'm gonna back up these guys so that they don't have to endure the support bombing that's about to occur. Can I use the smaller squadron? We just finished new planes. You know what? It's probably best we use the big squadron. Just to be sure. Because we don't want this to take a second shot. Alright. So let's step inside then. Now that we have control of the situation. The elephants can't get in anyway. So I wanted the elephants there so that they would, put their guys right up against the wall. But I do think we can back the elephants up now that we've forced that and send in another support bombing. Problem solved. Okay, so at this point, the battle is looking like they've lost about half their units. They got six bodies left. We do not have a lot of good vision right now. But it does look like their flag is open, which is not, I think, what they should be doing. It's just an opinion. Can I get these this squadron does have somewhat limited range. Yeah, see, I can't bomb that tile. But we can get there with these guys. And then we can just do some shooting. Wait, no. Open. Okay. Never sure why it's very aggressive about deciding that you're clicking outside of the battle. Always seems strange to me. Okay, so this is an uphill. Obviously not totally ideal. Can the elephants hit that? Yeah, let's start with a little bit of equal height softening up from distant elephants that are fighting at quite a disadvantage. You guys, that's right, you guys moved already. We can run the knights in, but this is pretty scary. Oh, the knights can get deep. Holy crow. Is this the last three of their units? No, they have a bunch of units left, and we don't know exactly where they are. It's a little frustrating. Well, okay, so let's get rid of this one. Wow, 8, huh? That's not very good. It might be a bad idea to bring the horses in. I might just be getting them killed. But I'm gonna get aggressive. They have 5 units, and we only see 4 of them. Where do I think the other ones are at? So we have one shot left from our big squadron. I really wish I could just drop. This would solve all of our problems. But they won't let me drop there, even though I do think that's where that unit is. It's just nothing we can do. Alright. So I think we're probably going to lose the horse. I think they're going to focus on the horses. Oh, no. They're going to try to clear the flag. It is very often the case that the AI just focuses on whatever the unit they can do the most damage to is. But they do want that flag. Okay. That's actually really good news. So now what we do is we move this unit back out.
Right.
We have this unit step to here, and then the final support bombing lands on this tile. And if I'm not mistaken, that is approximately the ball game. Run up onto the high ground here. We have a rifle unit that's outside. I'll say this: they're tough. They got some HP. But you know what they don't got? Elephants with
What?
Gatling guns on them.
That's true. Aren't you glad I continually ask you for elephants?
I am. All right. The city of Quabulayo, which is going to get folded into another one of our cities as soon as we take it and keep it. All right, what's up?
What does this war do for either of us?
White peace.
You must be out of your mind.
That's not the
No
place.
chance.
All right, so she's hemorrhaging war support. She had a lot,
Reasoning
so it
words.
is taking a while. It is taking a while to really draw her all the way down. But yeah, she's bleeding very badly. Brown is asking us. So I don't know how to interpret these. We need to strike here. It's like this would be a good spot, or if it means I'm going here, or if it means I want you to go here. And those are all very different concerns in an allied war. One thing I'm awfully curious about, and I have no idea how it works, is what would happen if we got land units over to their aerodrome? So once our units are reasonably upgraded, that's the thing I would like to try.
Okay.
Seems like a good way to take advantage, a good way to take control of a situation. For now, I think let's move down adjacent to the harbor. And just hang out for a second. And up here, this city could continue to improve its access to food. Oh, what this city needs is employment more than anything. We're 5 points of population beyond our ability to make use of people. Well, 2 extra researcher slots will certainly help with that. But I guess also, another way you could solve that problem is by turning a bunch of people into military units. Okay. So that puts us at about 70 minutes into the episode. We have scored a couple of big strategic embarrassments, reclaimed some of our territory that I think was originally their territory. You remember I told you before I brought y'all in on the game, the Black and I quarried over some stuff down here. I know the island was theirs originally. I think this was too. So to a certain extent, we've been fighting over this for something like 6,000 years. But I think that was probably the final time that's going to change hands.
Yeah.
And we're only 3 turns away from inventing fusion reactors, so that's fun. I think we're going to go and call it here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. As of this moment, we have 19.9k fame. They have 17k. We are 11 stars ahead of them. So if they were to catch up with us at an average value of like 200-ish points per star, they actually, if they were able to score stars up, they would get pretty close to us in total score. We're going to have to make sure they don't do that. So yeah, come back next time for us desperately trying to grind this player beneath the heel of our shoe until they can no longer participate in the video game. And we'll see you then.